Rod Freeman here, another episode of Freeple of Mirth. And this particular video is going to continue my book called One Way Ticket. And this will be chapter 2 today. And it's about when I left the United States of America with a one-way ticket. And in very early 1970, and was out of the country for like 2.5 years, and this is about the adventures. Anyway, to catch up, last episode, chapter 1, my friend and I, Tommy, and I had left Vancouver and flown to London, and then it was cold there, so we went south. And we ended up in Barcelona, Spain. And I talked about this sort of epiphany thing I had of just realizing that I was now a part of this incredible drifting mass of young humanity that had kind of joined the hippie kind of lifestyle, which was very popular at that time with a lot of us young people. We were deciding to be hippies. And it was sort of a new cultural revolution in a way, because we rejected our middle class values that we'd grown up with through the 50s and early 60s, and broke away into what we thought was freedom. Anyway, I discovered this like traveling group, that people were all on the road with backpacks. We were like backpacking the world. Okay, all out in quest of knowledge and party and pleasure as well. Anyway, I had this epiphany in Barcelona, Spain, and we had some fun there. But this next chapter starts where we go out to a place called Formentera, and that's where I ended chapter 1. So we're going to pick up there now. Here we are, Tommy, my friend, and I, from a couple of hicks, from northwest Port Townsend, hit Formentera, which we'd heard was a real cool, hip kind of place to be in. We were looking for a cave up there. Anyway, we land on this little island, and it's pretty flat and wide. It's got a couple little villages, and then it goes along. There's a road, and there's a little La Mola, it's called, a mountain, and that's where we heard the cave was. Okay, so we got off the boat, and we were walking along, and we're kind of looking for a store or something, because we were, needing some supplies and stuff. So we found this little town called San Francisco, and we were kind of looking around, like no signs, nothing, a few people maybe walking around there. Then this guy comes up, he's like young and friendly, and he speaks a little bit of English, and I knew a few words of Spanish and stuff. So we were like talking a little bit, and we said, hey, we need some stores, so we ended up getting some food and an ounce of Afghani hash. And it was the good stuff too, the gold label stuff. And we got it for $30. I still remember that. Tommy and I were like, wow, So anyway, with that, we went on the road. We started hitchhiking down to the end of the island. When we saw a car, there weren't too many cars, so anytime one would go by, we'd stick out with them. I think the second one that came by was this really super nice Land Rover, and inside there were these like really super like hippie looking guys, like rock star looking guys, and they had like the permed hair, and the clothing was just like amazing, like from Carnaby Street or something. These suit jackets made out of Oswald rabbit, felt, things. Just amazing, beautiful patterns and stuff. And we're like, whoa! And the guy in the passenger seat looked kind of familiar, so I was like, who is this guy? And we got in the back, and they were going to give us a ride, and he turns around, and I go, man, that guy looks just like Mitch Mitchell, I don't know. I said, hey, are you Mitch Mitchell, And he goes, yeah, he was, And so they were living up in some rock star haven house up on the top of the mountain down there. And we were pretty straight looking, really, compared to these guys. These guys were like ultra, worshipful hippie type people, and they didn't want much part of us, even though I kind of hinted, we're kind of looking for a place to stay, They're like, yeah, now where do you want us to let you off now, It's like, okay, So anyway, they knew where the Roman road was that went up to the cave. So we got out, and they let us out. We said goodbye to the Hipwazi rich rock star dudes that we all worship back then because we were all into celebrity worship and stuff. And anyway, we went up this old Roman road, which was really in pretty good shape, for like being 2,000 years old. Big blocks, set in, and it was great with a wall along the side. We went up and it was starting to get dark, and we got up there and we found the cave. It was probably like a mile or two up there. And there was already some occupants. There was a guy and his girlfriend, and I think he was from Oregon. I don't know where she was from. But anyway, it was a really cool cave because it was like pretty big, maybe 15 by 15, I mean, pretty big standing room. And then there were all these little caves that kind of went off the back of it. And they were like little sleeping porches there. So we went and got some fir and pine branches and laid them in there and, put our sleeping bags out. And man, we were like home, it was great. And it was, getting dark and the sunset was going on. It was just like fabulous sunset over the island of Ibiza. We could see where we'd come from, like we'd gone from Barcelona to Ibiza and then the little launch out here to Formentera where we were. And the sunset right behind it, and there were these sort of like really cool rocks, like sticking up kind of like, bananas or something, like 4 or 5 of them. And, but they were quite a ways away, but it was a really interesting formation of the sunset. And I remarked on that. And later we found out that that was supposedly, now don't quote me on this, but was the Sirens' Rocks that of the Odyssey, of Homer's Odyssey, that where Odysseus went and he had to have the crew plug his ear, or their ears with wax, and he was lashed to the mast so he could hear the siren song and not be enchanted by it and go on the rocks and kill everybody. So anyway, even though he was trying to tell him to unchain him, he had to, anyway, it was a good story. So that was pretty cool. So it's this beautiful spot. So we can go to sleep, smoke some hash, right? Go to sleep. Wake up in the morning, and we got some supplies there, and we were eating, and we spend the day there. And these 2 Canadian gals showed up, and they had heard about the cave too. So there was a couple more little places for them to be there too. And it was really cool. I had a little kind of cave in a cave, had my little rock there with my book on it and my candle, and it was really kind of like private rooms in the cave. It was for free, it was what a deal. Anyway, that night we had a meal. It was sunset, and another beautiful sunset behind the Sirens' Rocks and the beautiful Mediterranean there, peaceful and calm and wonderful. And it was, I went in and tended the fire. I made a little fire because I was an old backpacker from way back, when I was a kid and stuff. So I made a fire and we were, dinking around and people were kind of talking. It was kind of mellow and the sun had just set and the moon was coming up. And I wandered out to the edge of the cave and I was kind of looking out over the sea. There's still just a little bit of light left, the moon shining up. And I see down where the road is, I see this kind of light glint, kind of something reflected off of the moonlight or something. So I look down, and there's things moving down there. And so I listen, and I can hear some like footsteps on the Roman road. And there's more than one. There's a group of people coming up here. And the thing that was glinting, I identified at a pretty good distance, luckily. And it was the hats, I call them Mickey Mouse hats, because like Franco's fascist police, these guys are called the La Guardia Civil, right? And they wear these patent leather black hats, and they're kind of like a cap. And they've got this kind of front thing that goes up, and over, like kind of it looks almost round like Mickey Mouse ears. So I see the Mickey Mouse ears. I'm like, oh man, these cops, these guys are serious, And so I turned around and I yelled to people, hey, you guys, Guardia Civil, man, cheese it, they're coming here, I see them out there. So everybody's like, holy shit, and they're rustling around, getting ready. So I took, Tommy and I had split the hash in 2, and so I had about a half ounce of hash that we hadn't smoked. We were smoking it pretty quick. Out of a potato, we'd carve out a potato, and like make it into a pipe. And so I grabbed that. It was in my pocket. And I threw it in my mouth, and I started chewing it up. I got to get rid of this evidence because I did not want to go into a Spanish jail if they let me live to get there. These guys have a bad reputation. So anyway, I'm kind of standing there, and I see them, and they see me, you know, and they're these big, huge guys, you know, like with their patent leather Mickey Mouse hats on. It made them look kind of ridiculous, really. But they had, you know, those bandoleros and stuff, and they had machine guns, and they all had machine guns, and it's like pretty scary. They all had these huge mustaches, you know, look like a freaking gerbil sitting under their nose, you know, bristling, and they're like, hey, you know, like you guys, you know, they're speaking in Spanish. I don't know. They say, you know, yeah, you know, I don't speak other languages very well. I pretty much speak American, but I have in the past kind of gotten by in Turkish and a couple others after I lived there a while. But anyway, so they're like, hey, you know, basically we understand you guys can't stay here. Not okay. We got that one. Okay. And they started going around searching stuff, you know, and like they pat us down, you know, and luckily I had no cavity searches, you know. I was worried about that, but they just patted us down. Luckily I was just then swallowing a big glob of hash, you know, gulp, you know. Looking around, and they find a vial of pills, you know, that one of the Canadian girls has in her pack, you know, like they're going through everybody's gear and stuff. And the cop goes, oh, drugs, you know. And these guys all point their guns at us and stuff. We're like, no. And the girl goes over there. She's very brave. You know, this cop, she says, no, drugs. She goes, medicine. They knew that word. They was like, oh, medicine. Oh, okay, medicine. So they didn't find anything, but they took our passports. Passport, you know. So it's like, okay, here you go, buddy. We gave them our passports, and they said we couldn't stay in the cave. And we had to go down and pick our passports up down at the boat launch the next day. We could stay there that night, so it wasn't like, I don't know where they would put us down there because the boat only went the day. But anyway, we pick up our passports. We had to leave the island because, you know, we weren't supposed to stay in the cave, and, you know. So we did that. We, you know, said goodbye to them, you know. They're like walking off. And we had to do what they say, but we had to sleep first. Well, meanwhile, like I'm just coming on to this like tremendous amount of hash I had just eaten, and boy, I tell you, I was up into the night staring into that fire. I was like, I remember seeing like this kind of train. It looked like a train going through in the coals later, just like moving with like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck waving to me out the windows of the train. I'm like, whoa, you know, pretty crazy days. Anyway, that was part of being a hippie, though. You had to smoke pot and hash and stuff. And I'd grown up being, you know, with just alcohol. I hadn't started smoking until I was like freaking 19 or something. You know, I was from a hick town, you know. But anyway, I was into it then, that's for sure. And so anyway, the next day we went down there, and Tommy and I were talking, and he wanted to go back to London because he wanted to see some of the big rock and roll bands at the time. I mean, the freaking Stones were at the height of their power, and the Who, you know, and Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. I mean, there was some really, really awesome bands back then. You know, the glam thing was just starting with, you know, T-Rex, you know, Mark Bolan. I mean, there was a scene going on in England, and London it was like the center of the cool rock and roll music scene of the world. So I could see why I wanted to go there. I didn't. I wanted to go to a culture that was totally different than Western culture that I'd grown up in, kind of. So I had my sights on Morocco. Anyway, so he went up to Barcelona and back up north, and I took a boat to Valencia, Spain. And Spain is like, you know, on the border of the Mediterranean. It kind of goes down from France, you know, like here's the Mediterranean and stuff. And the Costa Brava, then the Valencia is right about here. Then it kind of turns, and this is the Costa del Sol, the coast of the sun, you know, the southern Spain. And so that's where I was headed, because you had to go all the way down so you could take the boat to Morocco. So I'm on my way, and I'm hitchhiking away, and man, the hitchhiking's not too good. Not too good at all. And I did get to this next town. I was like frustrated. So I went into a bar, and I sat there and had a glass of wine or something. Wine was so inexpensive there, just almost nothing, you know, like 20 cents for a huge glass of wine or something. So anyway, and then I'll never forget, I got homesick for the first time. I think I wrote a letter to my mom, you know, told her to send my mail to American Express, Marrakesh, Morocco, because that's where I was going. And I remember hearing the Paul Simon song, you know, The Boxer, you know, and it has some, it's kind of melancholy and sad. I'm like, oh, crying in my wine, But I didn't feel like homesick too often. But I remember that one. That was kind of my first homesick, where I knew, like I was one-way ticket, man. I was over here, and all the past was gone. I was in a new world that I was entering into, that I was very excited about, and had a lot of hopes for. Like, wow, I'm going to travel, man. I'm going to go all over. I'm going to Morocco. So I hitched out of there, and the hitching was so bad, and I never forget. I kind of walk along the road, and just to do something, and hitchhike, and cars would go by, and I got out in the countryside, and there was a really weird thing that occurred. Okay, these groups of Spanish guys would be driving along in their little sedans or little cars, and they kind of drive along in groups of like 3, 4, 5 maybe, and they were driving along, and I'd see them go this way, and they go by me the other way. They were honking their horns all the time, just like beep, beep, not blaring, leaning on it. They were just beep, beep, beeping along, And this is like really strange. I couldn't figure out why they were doing it. And after a while, I thought, well, maybe they see me and they're like saying, get out of the way, or something, Maybe that could be a rationale for it. So I hid, I'd been a scientific experiment, hid. That didn't matter, boy. They were still beeping along, honking along there. So now, I don't know what was going on. It's still just a mystery to me, but I just remembered it, so I want to pass that on if anybody knows, from Spain during that time, and why guys drove around in little groups of cars and beeped, you could send me a comment or something on that. But anyway, the hitchhiking was so bad, the next town I got to, I think I got a little ride with a guy on a motorcycle or something, and I was saying, boy, I got to get a motorcycle, because the hitching's so bad. He goes, oh, hey, I know where there's one for sale, So, and I met this other guy, some American guy or something, and he wanted, we talked about it. We saw this motorcycle. It was a 52 BMW 250 with like a couple bicycle seats on it, and we went in on it. We got it for $100, we just put in $50. And I mean, couldn't really do this stuff now because I don't think we had any papers for it. It's just like, oh, here, it's yours, here's the papers. Signed it off. No license, no driver's license in Spain or anything. We were just, anyway, we took off. And after a day or so of riding, he decided he wanted out of the deal and he wanted to go north because I was heading south, And so anyway, so I bought his side out. And then I rode the motorcycle on down to Algeciras, where you take the boat, and sold it there for what I paid for it. So it was like free transportation. That's a good thing to do when you're traveling around. So you buy a car, a vehicle, and drive it where you want to go, and then you've got your own vehicle, and then sell it when you leave or something. It's a super deal. Anyway, cruised on down there. I think one thing I remember about that, going by the massive, huge orange. It was orange season in the orange orchards. Just like oranges just hanging thick on them, blood oranges in Valencia, or all different navel oranges, these huge, plantations of them. Driving along with my motorcycle by them on sunny days, it was just beautiful. It was a really wonderful time I was having then. Anyway, I did stop at Harry's Bar in Torremolinos, and that was like supposed to be kind of a jet set place or something. So I'd heard about it, there it is. Might as well check it out and have a glass of beer or something, see if I can run into some Americans. Well, I did. There's a movie star in there, a guy, kind of a minor TV movie star. I think he did some movies too. James Whitmore, and he was kind of like a Spencer Tracy lookalike, only younger. He looked like the younger Spencer Tracy. I don't know. But anyway, I went, hi, James Whitmore, I didn't want his autograph or anything, but he was kind of a jerk to me, and, I was just a pretty plain guy, and, so, jumped on the motorcycle, headed down to Algeciras, sold the motorcycle. Now, the problem was getting into Morocco, because in Morocco, they shut down the country to hippies because there's so many hippies there that they, and they were causing problems, because not all hippies were good hippies back then, like me, I wasn't even really, there yet, but I was trying to be, boy, because I was following my cultural compass. And there were so many that you couldn't get on the boat. They wouldn't let you on. They were filtering people out. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, well, I'll just have to get a haircut. So I then, oh no, here, this is my time to share with you what I looked like back then. This is my passport picture. I got this is my old passport, United States of America, and my hair was a little bit longer than this. But you see, when I got my passport picture taken, that's good old me when I'm 21 years old, kind of a sleepy, dimwit looking dude. Anyway, and I got my hair cut because my hair was actually long. I was starting to kind of look like a hippie. Just when I'm starting to look like a hippie, real hippie, cut my hair off and my mustache, and I put on some nice clothes, and I put my leather jacket over my bag so it looked like kind of like a suitcase, and I went right up to that ticket booth, and and I'd heard from people near the ticket office, hippies and stuff, because you always say hi to other hippie travelers, people, backpackers, and they weren't all hippies. Some had, clean cut and stuff like that. But they had the hippie spirit, because that was the thing back then. And anyway, they were saying, man, good luck, trying to get on that boat, because we got the runaround, they won't let us on and stuff. So I'm like, well, I'll give it a try. So I go right up to the ticket office. I say, I'll take a ticket to Ceuta, which is the port in Morocco. And the guy, he goes, no ticket, you need pass. You need pass to get ticket. I'm like, okay, so I can't get my ticket here. I need a pass so I can get my ticket. Guy, see, And it's like, okay, where do I get the pass? And he's like, oh, upstairs. So I go upstairs. I see a little window there, little cage kind of window thing. And this must be it, because so I go over there and I go, I want a pass so I can get my ticket. The guy goes, you want pass? I'm going, yeah, I want a pass. He goes, you have ticket? I went, no, that's why I need the pass. He goes, no ticket, no pass. Okay, so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that isn't what the guy downstairs said. He said I needed a pass to get a ticket, but I'll go back. So I went back down there, go up to the ticket guy. Okay, I need the ticket to get the pass. He goes, you have a pass? I go, no, I don't have the pass. He goes, no ticket, no pass, no ticket. So I'm like, okay, see you later, dude. I walked away, and walked over. I'm like, what am I going to do, man? They've got give me the catch-22 here, the runaround. And then this little old man comes up. He's got, kind of looks Arabic. He's got a little turban on and stuff, kind of a robe thing. He comes up, he goes, hey, mister, how are you, or something. I go, well, not too good, because I can't get a ticket. He goes, oh, you need a ticket? I go, yeah, I need a ticket, because I want to go to Morocco. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, oh, I get you ticket. I'm like, what do you mean you get me ticket? He says, I get you ticket. You give me, so much money or something. I forget what it was exactly, some sum of money. And I get you ticket. I'm looking at the guy, now let's see. Should I take a chance with this guy? How fast is he? Because I was pretty fast. I could catch him probably. But he might be armed, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, well, I thought, well, he might not be trustworthy under a lot of circumstances, but under this one, I need some help here. I'll trust this guy. So I gave him some money. Well, the guy, I'll be right back. He goes over to the ticket guy, talks to the ticket guy a while, goes upstairs, comes back down, talks to the ticket guy. Ticket guy gives him a freaking ticket. He walks right over and gives it to him. Well, all right, thanks a lot, man, And he was happy to do it, and I gave him an extra, like, I don't know, peso or two or something, Well, thanks, man. I got on the boat, and so I was the only young person on the boat from, backpacker type guy. And anyway, so we're nearing the end of the story, because I go to Ceuta, and then I go to Tangiers, and both places I walk around with my pack on my back, my old French pack, and these kids would come up, and people, the little hustlers, and they're like, you come with me, my brother's cafe, my brother's restaurant, you eat good, I'm like, oh, thanks, hey, come my uncle's hotel, you American, I'm like, no, I'm English, I'm Canadian, and so they're like, really cool little guys, but they're like kind of like flies, pestering you and stuff. So I kind of got through them, and I'd ask them, okay, where's the boat? The bus to Ceuta or to Tangier. Anyway, I ended up in Tangier and I bought some bad hash, but I was really getting into it. And the thing that really, I'm going to end here because this kind of completed my epiphany of this association of young travelers, young drifters with packs on their back that I was part of. I just joined the club and I was pretty green, but I was learning fast. And I figured out too that if you pick up one of these little hustler guys, that's kind of cool. You pay them like a nickel or a dime or something, and they run off all the other ones, and they translate for you. If you ask for anything you want, they'll get it for you. They got me some bad hash, and they know where the cheapest places are. So right away I figured that one out. And also the Muslim culture there in North Africa, I mean, it was totally different than any country I'd ever been in. I mean, I'd never been in a country that had a dominantly different religion. It had been Christian all the way, from me being an altar boy or something back in the day, Christian Europe, Christian, real Christian Spain, fascist Christian Spain. And now all of a sudden I'm in a totally different culture where the guys wear robes and turbans. The women wear robes and veils and have the Sophia Loren eye makeup thing going, just, whoa, knock you right out. The kids are all running around and having fun, and the guys are all in the shop selling their goods and stuff. And a real interesting thing is alcohol is forbidden in Islam. So they don't have all these problems that the Christian alcoholic West has with alcohol. I mean, these people are stoned, man. They smoke cannabis. And not all of them do. That's kind of looked down as like they're usually actually pretty straight-laced, very moral, upright people. But they don't drink alcohol, so there's no bars. And you see the old guys sitting in the tea shops, with their glass of mint tea with a mint leaf put in it, lots of sugar. And they've got these long-stemmed little pipes with a little one-hit, they call it the scuff, on the end. And they've got their keef, they call it, and they fill those guys up. They sit, drink tea, smoke keef, and yak all day, the old guys do. And it's really interesting. It's a totally different culture. It was like upside down to me. So this kind of completed my epiphany of this traveling culture. Also, there's a lot, I could see why they were keeping the hippies out now, because there were a lot of long-haired, young people from, and not just the young, there were like some older hippie types, it's mostly young, with the long hair and the flashy clothes. You could buy the cool clothes there. I bought a jalaba later. And this whole thing was opening up to me, this whole association, this group that I joined. And in this really, really different culture, it just blew my mind that there are places like this on Earth. And so we will go, next episode here will be chapter 3, which is just going to be about Morocco. And I spent about 2 months there. And that's when I decided to hitchhike to India. So I'll be telling you about that one in the next installment, and that will be chapter 3 of One Way Ticket, the story of my 2.5 years traveling the world in the early 1970s. So signing off for now, Freeple of Mirth. Bye-bye.